Did you come across some interesting research on intermittent fasting? Because that seems to be the thing that a lot of people are talking about and thinking about and practicing right now. And I've had a couple of people on the podcast speak to it.
That's the biggest chapter is the fasting chapter. So much information. Now, I remember looking into fasting because there's been a common interest for years. People ask me about it, and anytime I only want to say I don't know once ever, even if it's the most esoteric question in the world. I want to, the next time someone asks me that, I'm going to know an answer to it. And so people can ask me about fasting, and there just was no data. And so that's why if there's a condition or food that you can't find on nutritionfacts.org, the number one reason is probably because there's just no good data out there. I mean, it's not like, I'm trying to ignore it. It's just like we don't know. And so, but just in the last few years, there's been an explosion of research into intermittent fasting, water-only fasting, 5-2, 25-5, time-restricted feeding, all these. And so tremendous literature. And what's interesting about the intermittent fasting literature? Well, so in terms of intermittent fasting, no benefit in terms of compliance or lean mass conservation or weight loss compared to continuous caloric restriction. And the largest studies to date shows increasing cholesterol for people that have the same caloric restriction doing alternate day modified fasting. And so I would encourage people not to do it, or at least get their cholesterol checked. But the time-restricted feeding, where you try to narrow your eating window to 12 hours or less, and so you're fasting at least half the day. This was one of the research areas where there was diametrically opposed. Some studies show it's great for you. Other studies show it's terrible for you. It has all these negative metabolic consequences. And so it was my job to what is going on here? And it turns out it's timing. Early versus late. So
when do you break the fast? You mean?
So your window, right? So if your window is late, you get the negative biological consequences of eating at night and shifting your calories towards later in the day. And so people that skip breakfast had these negative metabolic effects of time-restricted feeding, whereas people that did early time-restricted feeding not only got the chronobiological benefits of shifting their calories towards the beginning of the day, they also got the time-restricted feeding benefits. And so that is really that's one of the things in the book that actually changed the way my family eats.
Yeah, you just rocked me with that. Because I do it where I eat at night, I don't eat during the day.
If you miss any meal, it should be supper, not breakfast.
Right, breakfast is called break fast for a reason.
Yeah, I mean that, and
wow.
Yeah, I mean, and that actually may be one of the reasons that the Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians live the longest living population in the world, right? Okinawa Japanese was the number 2, and now they're eating KFC. There's really only one blue zone that continues to this day. It's in Loma Linda, California. The Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians, longest living formally studied population in the world, but one of the reasons may be because they practice this early time-restricted feeding, often skipping supper. The teachings of the church are, like 2 meals a day, and make lunch the biggest meal of the day. It hasn't been put to the test, but given all this short-term data,
that's super interesting.
That may be, I don't know. That'll be the next book.